Today's podcast guest is Chris Denton, and we discuss the alarming rate of sexual assault on women, children, and even men. Many organizations help prevent to overcome the tragedy of this experience after it happening. But what if we could help prevent it before it happens? Chris and others in the organization, not me, teach potential victims to stand up and say no and become a superhero while doing so.
My name's Travis Sims, and I am the founder and CEO of AGC Accelerated Global Connections. And this is the AGC Experience.
Banner season. It's about mailboxes, not inboxes. Building better relationships has never been easier. Using our platform, you can easily send a card and personalized gift to anyone with a simple tap or click. Or, fully automated, stop the digital overload and do something that will mean so much more. Banner season is the easiest way to wow people and the way for you to really get their attention. Develop stronger relationships, increase revenue, and improve your retention. You know you've reached an entirely new level when you inspire customer referrals and you don't have to consistently ask for them. For more information, contact Bo Young at 320-249-1576 or go to betterappreciation.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am super excited for today's episode of the AGC Experience podcast. I want to say hi to our audience. I want to say thank you for tuning in. I want to say thank you for following us and subscribing. And we're getting subscribers now from all over the country and all over the world. It is absolutely amazing. And it's not only because you're subscribing, but because you're sharing our content. You're taking it and sharing it with others and helping us make an impact across the world. So thank you for all that you're doing. Greatly appreciate you. Today, again, does not disappoint. We have an amazing guest, Chris Denton. She's an AGC member. She's an AGC leader over in the Minnetonka team, and just an absolutely amazing person doing awesome work in the world. So, Chris, we'd love to learn more about you, your background, your history, your why, your passion, what you're up to today. So if you would, give us that big introduction. We want to know.
Thank you, Travis, and hi, AGC. I miss everyone. I miss so much seeing everybody in person. So I can't wait until we can get back together again, but I'm honored to be on this podcast. I've been wanting to be on this for a while, so thanks for having me. I am a micro entrepreneur, I would say. I think a lot of us are becoming that in 2020. And so I do a number of things, and I have multiple streams of income. I am in a top leader in a very new network marketing company called Solvasa that I am proud to be a part of with icons in the industry. I am now building out one of my own platforms on bringing community together, and so that we can understand each other and connect on a different level, so we are not in our phones all of the time. And that's TBD and coming, and something that I've been working on during this quarantine. And then I also am the senior director of corporate development for an organization called Not Me and Superhero Kids, where we provide sexual assault prevention training for little kiddos, pre-K all the way up through 12th grade, and then to adult males and females in the corporate community. And I'm doing all those things like many of you are, and I know we're all, have our hands in a lot of things, which is really fun. I am right now, most of my focus is on building out the newer companies, because our Not Me Superhero Kids was pretty much put on hold when schools closed and when corporations weren't getting together anymore. So we've transitioned to online, and we're just now starting to pick up again because it's a big problem that's only getting bigger as we sit in quarantine and we don't have mandated reporters out there. So I'd love to use this time to chat about that and discuss that, because I think it's such a topic that people are a little uncomfortable with. And it's such an important topic, and there's some really good things that you can do to help yourself or help your kids. And a lot of people just don't know about it. So I think that'd be I think it's a fun topic to talk about, because I think you always walk away just enriched.
Mhm.
But it's up to you with where you'd like to take it.
No, I think that's great. What a way to use this platform to make a difference for an amazing cause. And I think that's very selfless of you, Chris, to want to do that. And it just shines through to the type of work that you do and the type of person that you are. And you're right, it's a topic that not enough of us know enough about, because it's one of those things that no one talks about. It's not the fun thing or the to share, but it's the thing that we need to know how to talk about. And so I'd love your insight on this and how we can help.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'll tell you how I got started, because that'll
Please.
give you a little insight into why. So 1 in 4 women will be or have been sexually assaulted. 1 in 4, like that's ridiculous, right? And I'm one of those women. And if you look around in your corporate office, or when you're driving down the street, or when you're at school, or even when you're at an AGC meeting, right? Like 1 in 4 women have been or will be assaulted. Those are the statistics. And so when I was raising my daughter, who is now 17, and I wanted to be sure that this would not happen to her, so I was looking for a self-defense class. And I found one in my area called Not Me. And I went to drop her off at the class. And I stayed for just a little bit, only because of my schedule. I had no interest in it. I was just dropping her off. I got so sucked into that class that I think I got more out of it than she did. At the time, she was about 14, and she was kind of like, this is stupid. And my mom's making me go. And I was just locked in, because all of the things that they were teaching were things that if I had known those things, maybe what happened to me wouldn't have happened. And I thought, if everyone could have this, maybe we could get those statistics to be a lot different than 1 in 4. So I went up to the owner, introduced myself to him, had several meetings with him, and essentially created a position for myself, because I knew that there was such a need. And we're small, like we're really small. There's like 10 to 15 of us. We're small and mighty, but the idea is not to create a self-defense class where you are meant to have a fair fight. Because let's be honest, if 2 men are running at me with weapons and I'm by myself, it's not a fair fight. I'm not going to win. But what if I had the skills, the psychological skills, and the other self-defense skills, so that I could prevent surprising, then get away? Or what if I had the skills to not ever get into the situation that I was walking into in the first place? Might there be different results? And so that's how I got involved. And I've been just thoroughly engrossed in the topic ever since. So I work on the corporate side, meaning I bring the trainings to the corporate office, and it's so awesome. We just did a training the other day for hundreds of people virtually, when some of these CEOs, CFOs, CMOs are bringing in this content because they want their employees to be safer, and they want them to give them that perk. You can take them out for drinks, you can take them, to dinner or to a sporting event, but what if you could teach them and their families and maybe your clients how to be safer? It's quite a gift. So we have this adult section that is incredible, and we're also expanding it into men, because men get assaulted too. And then we also share how a woman feels, like when she's in an elevator alone, or when she's walking to her car alone, and all of those stories, so that maybe they also know how to behave a little differently as well. That's that chunk. But then we have the superhero kids side, which is teaching pre-K all the way through 12th graders how to prevent an assault from happening. And when you go into your schools, you look in a classroom, 1 in 10 kids will be assaulted. 1 in 10. And we say that's what's reported. So it's probably much more, I would say.
Yeah.
But the analogy we give is, Travis, when you and I were in school, it was fire drills and tornado drills, and in some areas hurricane drills, and now we have active shooter drills, and we have those types of things, but the odds of those things happening are so small, but yet they're getting those drills constantly. We knew how to stop, drop, and roll, right? And so, but did anyone ever do that? Like, does that ever happen? Very low occurrence of that. The odds of a child being sexually assaulted are 1 in 10. So we have to get into the schools, because if we can teach these kids how to prevent an assault from ever happening in the right way, and that's sequential from pre-K all the way up into 12th grade, when they go out into the community, hopefully, what happened to me doesn't happen to them. Hopefully what happens to some of these kids doesn't happen to them. And it's just such an important program. So I love the work and love the content.
What sets this work apart, at least in my mind right now, as I'm hearing you share this information with myself and our listeners here today, is that there may have been, and there probably is, some work that is done after the fact, right? Yeah. When you find that a child or a person has been assaulted, there might be some therapy that can be done. There might be ways to recover or how to cope and deal. And it's always after the fact. But the unique thing that you're offering here is how to help prevent, and how to arm them with confidence, and how to recognize a situation that is not a place or for them to be in, or to trust in, and to know to get out, and how to do that. What an awesome message, and that's what makes this really, really different from anything I've seen before.
Yeah, you hit it spot on. Like we have all these resources for how to deal with PTSD, and how to deal with the addiction issue you have from the assault or whatever it is. You're exactly right, and this is very unique. And how it was created 15 years ago, I mean, it's actually been around a long time, was from Al Horner. He is a former Navy SEAL, and he was teaching his buddy's daughter how to defend herself if she were assaulted. And he taught her 10 moves, not punch someone's eyes out, and beat them, but 10 moves to create surprise and pain and get away. And there was an attempted assault. She did use those moves. She did get away. She came back, told him, and then it spiraled, and he started training other friends' kids. And it was only for adult women mostly. And that went on for years and years and years. Well, then all of these women were saying, well, now I'm learning this. Now how do I teach my kid? And so he along with his wife, Diane, put together the Superhero Kids program for the children, which was created. He put it together with physicians, pediatricians, with psychologists, with educators. And so the program is, with the little kids, it's very fun. It's very light. I know it's hard to think of it being fun, but it is. It's about superheroes. It's about, how do you be the superhero of your feelings? How do you trust yourself? So when they feel yucky or uncomfortable, that's okay. They need to listen to that. How can they be the superhero and go tell somebody? And who are you going to tell? A lot of kids will tell their teddy bear or write it in a journal. They don't tell anyone, because why would they, right? They might have been told not to tell someone. So we tell them that's not lying, and that person's not right. Who's your trusted adult? And we teach them what a trusted adult is. Not all parents are trusted adults for these kids, right? Yeah. And then we teach them, we're going to teach you how to get away and tell, but we teach them how. So how do you get away and how do you tell? But then when you create it in the school, all the kids are speaking the same language and saying the same chant, get away and tell. It's very touching. And that becomes just like the bullying education, just like the fire drills, right? Yeah. We know it, we do it all the time. It's the same thing, so that when they have an uncomfortable touch or something doesn't feel right, we teach them how to go tell someone, because that's the biggest issue in sexual assault. It's a secret. Yeah. That's the biggest. I didn't tell anybody. I mean, I told a couple of my friends, but I didn't tell anybody else. I've spoken with hundreds of women who were assaulted when they were young kids and they never told anyone. So we're teaching them so it does get out. And honestly, every single person, every single school needs to have this kid, so that when they're an adult, like we are, they already had all the training, right? And they possibly prevented from ever walking into that situation.
A lot of times the reasons they don't tell is because they feel guilty themselves, they feel ashamed themselves, and oftentimes it's someone in their family or a friend or someone they trusted to begin with. And so helping arm these kids and people with a voice and a way to prevent and knowing how to identify it and that it's not their fault is huge, absolutely huge.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. That's something we say a lot too, and something that I needed to hear years ago, but it's never, if you've been assaulted and you're listening to this, it's not your fault. It's never your fault. It doesn't matter what you were wearing, what color lipstick you had on, how high your heels were, how drunk or drugged you were. It doesn't matter. You never asked for that. And we do teach that when we get a little older. It gets juicier and juicier as the kids get older, right? And we give the 14-year-olds the exact same training that I would get at 48. They need it because they're exposed to way more than I was with the phones and social media. But we do definitely say that it is never your fault. So if you walk into it and it does happen, it's not your fault, even if you had the training. But my aha moments were, I've always been very independent. So I've traveled all over the world for work, and I can take the cab by myself. I can walk to my hotel room by myself. I don't need, someone to watch me walk out to the parking lot. I can stay by myself. I've always been that way, in more of a confident, independent type of a personality, which is actually really stupid with a lot of the things that I look back that I did, where it's okay to say, yeah, hey, at the shopping mall, security, I want you to walk me to my car, or watch me walk to my car. Or most corporations, I have found out through working with them, most corporations have a policy where if an employee is working late and they need an escort out to their car, there's someone there to do that for them. Yeah. But people don't know. And a lot of way back in the day, I would have never taken that, because that shows, well, I'm weak. So we teach women mostly and these kids that asking for help and making sure that your safety is number one is how you prevent from walking into the assault. So for example, with a lot of people are dating online, right?
Yeah.
And so I've heard some women will sit down for the date and it doesn't feel right. They stay for the date.
Yeah.
We teach you to trust your creep meter, we call it. We trust the kids to trust their creep meter. So we use this term, which is really trust your gut, trust your feelings, because Al Horner said when he was a Navy SEAL, an active Navy SEAL, they were taught to trust their feelings. So they were taught, if you're on a mission and they have the mission exactly planned out, and let's say the leader goes off the plan and they get back to wherever they're supposed to be, and the group would ask, why did you make that? Why did you turn left instead of right? We were supposed to turn right. And he'll say, it didn't feel right. So his point is, if the Navy SEALs are taught to trust their feelings, if it doesn't feel right, why aren't you? So most women will go, well, I'll just sit through the date because, he's paying and it was nice and he drove here. No, you leave. You just get up and leave. I got to go. Something came up. And so we teach that, where if you can see that, you prevent from that escalating. There's so many situations where it just never has to happen if you know how to get out quickly. And it's very possible.
Yeah. Wow. This topic, when you're talking about statistics, 1 in 4 women are sexually assaulted. 1 in every 10 kids are assaulted. And you had no idea when you came into this podcast, I'm assuming, that this is a topic that's close to me. And it's because whenever I was very young, I was probably 7 years old, my brother was 5, we were molested by a member of our family. And I didn't face that with my own internal healing until later as an adult, and I did that through therapy. But I carried all the guilt for that for years, and because I thought, this is something to be ashamed of. And the biggest guilt I had was that I didn't tell anyone, or not only that I didn't tell anyone, but I didn't protect my younger brother. I took the guilt in that, and my therapist helped me understand that I was just a child. I was just a child. It wasn't even though I was 2 years older, it wasn't my responsibility, as the kid to do that. And I couldn't, have thought of that. And then, my wife was assaulted in college. So here you are, you're my wife's in the other room, I'm in here, and you're speaking to the audience. And I got to think that, how many people, hundreds of people listening to this podcast or watching it right now may have similar stories. And what if the things that we're doing today could prevent what happened to us, in some child, some person out there through this program. So I just want to tell you how thankful I am for you for bringing this into today's podcast.
Well, and I didn't know that about you, and I didn't know that about your wife, and my heart goes out to you. And, as we said, like, it's not your fault. Of course, that's not your fault. And that was a horrible thing that happened to you that should have never happened to you, your brother, or your wife. And you're right. That's what, like, we say the statistics, and we'll be in a room and we're like 1 in 4. So go 1, 2, 3, victim, yeah. 1, 2, 3. And then people look around and go, no, I was. And the important thing to know is, and men are also, as you are true. So thank you for sharing that, because you're vulnerable enough to share your personal story, but it also is so important because it brings awareness that also men have a huge problem coming forward, because it's harder for men, because they're like, I need to take it. Like, I can handle that. Like, I can't be weak. Right. So it's actually harder for men to come forward, and men aren't supposed to show their feelings. Right. And all of the things that I think are starting to change, but it's a huge problem, and it's many more people than you realize. And it's, we have a promo video, which I'll link on this link that you have, but there's a principal in the Minnesota area who said when they brought this program to the schools, usually parents are like, because they assume that we're going to talk about values of sex, and we are not. Like, your values and that is up to you. We teach prevention tactics for avoiding a sexual assault. Once the program gets in place, we have had 100%, not 99, 100% positive reviews and wanting it to return from the parents. And that is typically very hard to do. But this principal said in our promotional video, she said, and she's right, she said, this is a public health crisis. Yeah. And it just doesn't get the attention because everyone's scared of it, right? They don't want to touch it, or they don't know what to do. We're 10 to 15 people in Minnesota. Like, this needs to be everywhere, because it's happening everywhere, and kids don't know where to go because they don't understand. And so if we can get to the kids, all the kids, the only place we can do that is in the school. If we can get to all of them, we teach that it's normal. It's normal to get away and tell. It's normal to find your trusted adult. We have all the kids figure out who is their trusted adult. Sometimes it's a teacher. Sure. But then at least now that teacher knows, okay, no trusted adults at home. Let's watch this, and I need to stay close. So many things come up, and I just appreciate you sharing, because it just goes to show you it happens everywhere, and most people don't talk about it until they're so far past it.
Well, and you nailed it too, that boys, at least in the time I grew up, you're to be tough and strong, and you're not to cry, and all those things. And too, I'll in transparency too, the shame that I felt also came with, because it felt good when sometimes when you're when you're touched in that way, even though it's wrong, it's still a bodily thing that at that age I didn't know. It just felt good. And then later I carried the shame of that I let this go on because it felt good. And the therapist helped me understand that when you're at that age, you're not going to make always the best. You're not going to make those decisions to go, oh my gosh, I need to get out. I wasn't taught that in school, and you're going to make a difference to teach other kids how to say no and how to say it with a powerful voice and how to get away and how to tell others. And I just think it's so important. And it's starting to catch fire a little bit today, and with Me Too movement, and celebrities are getting busted now for the things that they've done that you would have never ever thought or heard of before. We're living in a time of an awakening, and it's interesting the changes that are coming out in the world.
Yeah, you're bringing up such good points that I haven't touched on like publicly as much in the past. So I'm really appreciating this, but you're so right that it felt good. Shame. Yeah. I have a friend in my life. She's a sex educator. Her name's Amy Lang. She's fantastic. And she's the person that I went to when I am a very, I feel very aware parent, and both my kids have seen graphic porn on their devices that are locked down. And, it will happen. It's going to happen. So you just have to expect it. But she worked with me, what do I do? Because my child was in 4th grade at the time. And that's exactly what she said. She said, now you have to understand, she might have felt very aroused and very good. And so you have to make sure that you tell her, because she was really little. And so she said, you tell her, hey, if you felt good or aroused or warm or all those feelings, right? That's okay. That's really normal. That's your body responding to something really normal. And so she specifically said I had to validate that for her so that she didn't carry the shame that you experienced, which I put together. But she said, it's your fault that she got on porn, right? It's not her fault. She didn't do anything naughty. You didn't protect her the way you needed to. So I took all the blame. This is my fault. I didn't have things protected for you like I thought I did. It's my fault. But if you felt good, that's okay. And I remember when she told me that, I was like, oh, I never would have thought to say that if she didn't tell me. And I'm so glad I did, because she doesn't carry that shame.
Yeah.
Which you did, which is really normal.
Yeah. I never even considered, Chris, that you talking about cell phones and online and computers. And now kids are not only likely at 10 years old, carrying a cell phone, but they're also online learning, in this time frame, and the dangers are so much bigger. It's not just the family member or the friend or the stranger, but they're coming in from all directions, and you get sucked into someone you think you've made a friend with online, and then all of a sudden they're meeting them somewhere.
It's happening. And they're bored. Kids are bored right now too. They're really bored, and it's happening. And Travis, I know 2 stories right here in our community. Nice neighborhoods, nice cars, all of these things. The teenage girls went off to meet some guy and got into a potential trafficking situation. Thank God the parent figured it out. But it's not just those people over there in that house. It is, it's us, it's people like us, it's our kids. I mean, I'm very aware, and my kids have been on porn at school because they're impulsive, they're curious, they're bored. But here's the thing that's important to know is that kids this is a computer, right? It's not a phone, it's a computer. And kids are on these things at 3 and 4. I mean, they really are. And so if they want an answer to a question, I used to have to go in an encyclopedia, right? They just go do, and they get whatever answer is out there. So if you, as a parent or educator or whatever, if you are not talking about these things with these kids, they're not going to come to you when they have questions. So you have to make the conversation normal so that they don't feel like they have to go on the computer or the phone to figure it out, and then they go down that deep, dark hole. But yeah, it is a public health crisis, but there are things we can do, and it is get your kid trained, get yourself trained on how to prevent it, train yourself multiple times, not just once, and then have the conversation often so it's normal in your house. It's not just the one time. And share your experiences that you had as an adult or as a kid, so that that conversation is normalized, so that they don't keep it a secret.
Yeah. Oh, what wonderful advice. You've given us a place to start with our kids and with the people that we know, by just starting the conversation, opening it up, and being that person for people to talk to and share with and have confidence in and trust in and all those things. And, I'm a big fan of what you're doing. I'm so glad that we did this. I knew a little bit about what you do, but I know too, you're an entrepreneur and you're doing a lot of things. So it's not always do we get a chance to sit down and go this deep into something that you're really passionate about. And this is awesome. So Chris, for our audience that's listening today, and they're watching, and they want to know more about your program, they want to know more about this topic, and they're interested in getting in touch with you. Maybe they know a principal, maybe they know a school board member, maybe they know a teacher that they can connect you with and help you get this message into that classroom or into that school. How do we find you?
I have a website that Travis just put down right there, and it's a website that has all the things that I do and I'm interested in. And so I will put at the top the links to our promotional video that is very quick, but you can see why this is so important. And there's public figures talking about the statistics and what's going on in the world. And then I'll link to we have 2 sites, so I'll just link to those programs. I love referrals into schools. We can train the trainer or train the teacher, or we can go and do it ourselves, or we can do it virtually, obviously, right now. And then I'd love introductions into corporations. We're doing a lot online, obviously, right now. We can definitely do in person, socially distanced, but it is something that I'm seeing more and more corporations are picking up and offering as a perk to their employees. And it's nice when it comes in as a family event or a client event. And so any referrals that you can send our way, we'll save a bunch more kids, and we'll keep a lot more people safe. So I would appreciate it so much. Thank you.
That's awesome. Absolutely. And by the way, too, I know I'm connected to you in a couple places on social media and LinkedIn. And if people search you, Chris Denton, they're going to find you a few different places as well. And if you're an AGC member, there's over 400 of you on our AGC website. And Chris is an AGC member, so you can connect to her on our website as well. And actually, we're getting ready to go huge. We got a big announcement coming October 1st, 2 weeks from today, and it's going to be big. I mean, we're going to absolutely disrupt and change the world of networking. So this will help us get your message in front of even a lot more people. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing this passion, your work, the difference that you're making in the world. I'm so glad that we took the podcast this direction, and I can't wait to see how many people we can reach and help with this topic. So thank you, Chris, for being on the show today.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening, everyone.
All right. Audience, I want to say thank you for staying all the way through. And I want to say thank you for listening and watching wherever you are in this podcast. And I want you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button before you go. Every single Monday, we have a brand new podcast with amazing leaders and their stories. And if you enjoyed today and you got good value, hit the subscribe button. But more importantly, this particular topic, this podcast right now, while you're on it, think about who do you want to send it to? Who could you impact today? Who needs to hear the message that was on today's podcast? And take that link and share it with someone that you know, that you love, that you trust, a school leader, a president of a school, a board of a school, a principal of a school, a teacher of a school. Let's help Chris, and let's help get these kids, and let's help get some corporations involved, and let's get this message in more places. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.